Have you understood it thoroughly?
Yes, I understand it. I understand it, sir.
Venkatraghu, is there any doubt about this? If you do not understand it by any means during this class, also refer to the textbook. Okay. So uh, now, how many constraints are there? There are three constraints. Okay. For each constraint, we have to draw a line. Okay. So, so this line is corresponding to greater than or equal. So this is for the first constraint. Okay. This one is for the second constraint, and this one is for third constraint. Okay. So you forget about this line. Okay. So the solution space is this one, this shaded one. So we have how many intersection points do we have? We have two intersection points. Okay. So at this point, find out z. Our objective function is minimization. At this point also, you find out z. So on this side, it is open. You can't have exactly the points. So only two intersection points are present. Find z value here, find z value here, and the z value here will be minimum, and that will be the optimal solution. So this line is drawn for objective function. The meaning is that we have to move this line so parallelly uh, such that when it meets one of these points, it should be minimum. So you need not worry about the line for objective function. Okay. So is it clear, Sivaji?
ఎస్ సార్.
Okay.
అంటే ఆ డాటెడ్ లైన్ ఎక్కడికైనా గీసుకోవచ్చా సార్?
అంటే ఐ మీన్ యూ దాని మీనింగ్ ఏంటంటే దానికి ప్యారలల్ గా తీసుకొని వస్తే ఏ పాయింట్ దగ్గర నీకు మినిమమ్ జెడ్ వాల్యూ వస్తుందో అది సొల్యూషన్ అని అర్థం.
అవును సార్, మినిమం జెడ్ వాల్యూ కింద వచ్చింది, ఓకే ఆప్టిమమ్ అని. కానీ పైన డాటెడ్ లైన్ గీసాం కదా, సో అది ఎక్కడైనా డ్రా చేసుకోవచ్చు ప్యారలల్ గా.
దాన్ని మూవ్ చేస్తూ ఉంటే నీకు చివర్లో టచ్ అయ్యేది ఈ పాయింట్, దిస్ పాయింట్. దట్ ఈస్ ద మీనింగ్.
ఓకే సార్.
Okay, you forget about drawing this line. Even we
Okay,
have
sir.
not drawn that line for crop allocation problem and ready mix problem.
Yes, sir.
So I mean you need not worry about drawing this line. Okay. So you
Okay,
have
sir.
only we got two corner points. We have to find out the z value at these 2 points, and we have to select the point where we have minimum z value, right? Okay. So those who could not draw can try in their free time, and they can cross check their graph with the graph given in the file, or they can cross check their graph with the graph available in the textbook. Will it be all right? So response from the students who could not draw. Because there are two variables only. If the variables are more than two, we can't use the graphical method. We have to adopt another method called as simplex method. Okay, so we will use these three problems to understand the simplex method. Later on, we take up problems consisting of more than two variables uh, to solve by simplex method. So that is the plan. Okay. So right now we will understand how we can find the solution using simplex method for first problem, that is crop allocation problem, and I gave you the file also. So is the file with you?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I'm. Are you able to see this file? Please tell me whether you are able to see this file. I have changed the file.
No, sir. It
No,
no
sir.
change.
It is previous one only, sir.
Okay, okay, okay. So we can't parallelly. We have to stop the previous file and we have to start. It seems right.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay,
Yes, sir.
okay. So are you able to see a different file? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes. So all of you follow me carefully. So
Okay.
this is the problem given in descriptive form, and we have formulated the problem in terms of equations like this. Okay, and we have found the solution using the graph, and the solution is x1 is equal to 50, x2 is equal to 150, and z value is what is the z value? 250, right? Is it right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Z,
sir.
z value is 250, x1 is
Two,
equal to 50,
200,
200,
200, 200, sir.
200 or
50,
250?
200, sir. 50 plus 150.
2 into x1
Okay, sir. Okay, okay, sir.
plus 1,
250.
250, 250. So here you can see 2 into 50 plus 150, 250, right? Is it right?
Yes, sir. It's correct.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now we can solve this problem using graphical method, and we can solve this problem by using simplex method. So simplex method is a search method. So it will, through a proper systematic procedure, it will search the z value at different points. So it will search the z value here, then it will search the z value here, and then it will search the z value here and here. So during the search process, if maximum z value is reached, the search stops there. Okay, so it is a search procedure. So even we tried to find the solution for this using trial and error method. So simplex method is trial and error method, but using the procedure we will have minimum trials. So you can see in 3 steps In 3 tables, we could find the solution. Okay. So what you have to understand is like this. So this is the problem written in mathematical form or written as linear. Now we have converted this into standard linear programming problem. Okay, so we have in standard linear programming problem formulation, we have done like this. So we have changed this inequality constraint to equality constraint. So let us, so left hand side is less than the right hand side. How can we make the left hand side equal to the right hand side? By adding something, we can equate it we can equate the left hand side to the right hand side. So this is called as this is named as x3 and we call it as slack variable. Similarly, for the second constraint, left hand side is less than the right hand side. To make the left hand side equal to the right hand side, we have added a variable. This is also called as slack variable. So here x3 and x4 are the slack variables. Okay. So in the z function, we add plus 0x3 plus 0x4 because they are slack variables and we do not know anything about them. For that reason, we put the coefficients as 0 and we again write the objective function as equation form. So if we write it as equation form, it will become z minus 2x1 minus x2 minus 0x3 minus x4 is equal to 0. So if we write in this fashion, it is called as standard form of LPP. Okay. So, so after writing the standard form of LPP, Harika, I am getting disturbance.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay.
Yes, sir.
So, we have to write the formulation in standard form like this. Okay. So generally, all of you follow carefully. You in the problem there will be n variables and there will be m constraints. So generally the objective function can be minimization function or maximization function and we can write the function like this. So C1, C2, C3 are called as coefficients of the variables in the objective function. And we can have the constraints like this and A11, A12, etc. are called as coefficients of decision variables in the constraints. And B1, B2, B3 are the right hand sides of the constraints. Okay. So this is the general format for a linear programming problem. So we write that problem in standard format like this. So this is the linear programming problem formulation. So the constraints will be of equality type. You can see. So in the original problem, the constraints can be less than or equal type or greater than or equal type, but by adding some variables or subtracting some variables, we have to make the left hand side equal to the right hand side. Okay, so if we write the formulation in this format, it is called as standard formulation. Okay, so I will be giving this file to you. You can understand it is easy. So the formulation can also be written in compact form like this. So the same formulation but written in a compact form like this. Okay, this is another way of representing the standard formulation, and we can also represent the formulation in matrix notation like this. Okay, so right now what we are adapting is this type of formulation. Okay, so you can go through this one, you can easily understand, right? So we are directly coming to the simplex procedure. Okay, so step by step procedure for solving linear programming problems using graphical method is already given to you and you know it. Okay, so before we uh, understand the steps of simplex method, there are certain terms that you should know. uh, So I can ask somebody to read the points such that we can cover the points quickly. Okay, Harika, can you read the points first? Read first 4 points.
Decision variables. The variables present in the problem which shall be assigned values to satisfy the constraints of the problem.
Okay, okay. So the variables present in the problem. Okay. So in the case of crop allocation problem, what are the variables?
X and Y.
X1 and X2. What are X1 and X2?
Decision variable.
Okay, okay. Decision variables. Okay. And what do they represent?
They represent the
area for crop 1 and area for crop 2. Okay. Is it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Next.
the constraints, the condition on the availability of resources.
So the conditions on the availability of resources in the case of crop allocation problem, what are the resources?
Area.
Any,
About area.
here about area. Next.
Cost.
About money available, money resource and land resource. Is it right, Shivaji?
Yes, sir.
Okay, money resource and land resource. Okay, proceed, Harika.
The objective function. The criterion to be optimized is the objective function. Example, maximization of profit or minimization of loss.
Okay, for the crop allocation problem, do we have maximization or minimization?
Maximization.
Maximization of what?
Profit, sir.
Maximization of okay, okay, proceed.
Solution.
Hmm.
A set of value
Hmm.
assigned to the decision variables in
Hmm.
a given problem.
Okay, okay. So for the x1 value and x2 value put together forms the solution. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So x1 can take some value, x2 can take some other value. So any set is a solution. Okay. I've got Harika.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next.
Basic variables.
Hmm.
The variables which assume non-negative values.
Hmm.
The number of basic values
Hmm.
variables is
Hmm.
equal to the number of equality constraints.
Hmm. So you just remember basic variables are the variables which assume non-negative values. All of you remember this one. Basic values. Very we will understand this term with reference to the table. Okay. Basic variables are the variables which assume non-negative values. That means positive values. Okay. Proceed, Arika.
Basis.
Hmm.
The set of basic variables.
Okay. Vish
Non-basic.
Vishwanath, continue from that point. Vishwanath?
Hello.
Vishwanath, proceed. Read from the sixth point onwards.
The set of basic variable,
Hmm.
non-basic variables,
Hmm.
the variables which assume zero values.
Okay, the non-basic variables are the variables which assume non-zero values. All of you remember this carefully. Uh, so when we look at the table, I will be explaining these terms again. Okay. Proceed.
The variables which are out of basis.
I advise all the students to turn off their mics except Vishwanath. There is a noise.
Feasible
Okay.
solution.
Mm.
Any solution that satisfies all the constraints in the problem.
Okay.
Infeasible solution. Any
Mm.
solution that does not satisfy at least one constraint.
Okay.
Basic
Next.
solution.
Mm.
If there are n plus m variables in decision variable and
Mm.
m sketch variables,
Mm.
there are m variables with non-zero values and n
Mm.
variables with zero values.
Mm.
Basic feasible solution.
Mm.
Initial basic feasible solution.
Mm.
The basic solution should in the beginning to find the optimal solution.
Okay. It is used like it is not sued. Used. Okay.
Uh,
Right. Mm.
Optimal
Next.
solution.
Ah.
The solution which gives best values for
Mm.
decision variables and
Mm.
objective function.
Mm.
Entering variable.
Mm.
The non-basic variable which can
Mm.
become basic variable.
Mm.
Leaving variable. The basic
Mm.
variable which can become non-basic
Mm.
variable.
Mm.
Leaving variable.
Mm.
The basic variable which can become non-basic.
Mm.
Pivotal column,
Mm.
pivotal element, pivotal row.
Mm. Okay, okay. So right now you will find all these terms very confusing, and once we understand the table, we will be uh, grasping the meaning of all these terms. Okay, so we will be switching between these two files. Okay, so let us understand. directly now. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Oh, okay, Vishwanath. We will. I am sharing. All of you try to understand this table clearly. So this is the problem. We have converted this into standard form, and within 3 tables we have found the solution. The solution here is, you can see iteration 3 or table 3. X1 is equal to 50, X2 is equal to 150, and Z is equal to 250. Within 3 tables we obtained the solution. All of you follow carefully. So we generally have a format for the table like this. So the first column is rows, second column is basis, the remaining columns are for variables. These columns are for variables, and we have another column for right hand side and another column for ratios. Okay, all of you follow again. What is the first column? Rows. Second column basis. The columns for all the variables. So in this problem, how many variables do we have? X1, X2, X3, X4. So X1 and X2 are the decision variables. X3 and X4 are slack variables. So why have we used slack variables? To equate the left hand side to the right hand side. Okay, right hand side and ratio, right? So we how many columns do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so rows column is fixed, basis column is fixed, right hand side is fixed, ratio is also fixed. So the columns in between these two, the number depends on the number of variables. Because we got 4 variables, we got 4 columns. Now let us come to the rows. The first row is heading row, the second one is Z row, next one is row for first constraint, and the next one is row for the second constraint. So generally we call them as row 1 and row 2. Even if you say constraint 1 and constraint 2, it is all right. Okay. Now understand how we are filling the spaces in the table. So in the first row, we fill like this. So this is heading, this is heading. So here X1, X2, are you able to see the file clearly?
Yes, sir.
Okay. X3, X4 are filled like this. Right hand side is heading, ratio is heading. So for Z row we have to write. So Z will be written as it is. For X1, what is the coefficient in the objective function? -2. For X2, what is the coefficient in the objective function? -1. For X3, what is the coefficient? 0. For X4, what is the coefficient? 0. And right hand side is 0. Now for row 1, so for you have to write I mean under basis, you have to understand this way. Under basis, we have to put x3 is equal to 0, x4 is equal to X3 and x4, because If we consider x1 is equal to 0, x2 is equal to 0, automatically x3 will be 300 and x4 will be 200. Is it right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So for that reason, we say that the variables, rather the basic variables are x3 and x4. x3 and x4 are basic variables because they take some positive value, non-negative value. x3 takes 300, x4 takes 200. Okay. So these are the basic variables, and what are the remaining variables? Remaining variables are x1 and x2. They are non-basic. Okay. So the basic variables are present in the basis. So x3 is basic variable, x4 is basic variable, x1 and x2 are non-basic variables. Okay. Now, so after writing this, for row 1, you have to consider the first constraint. For x1, what is the coefficient? 3 in the first constraint. For x2, what is the coefficient? 1. For x3, what is the coefficient? 1. For x4, what is the coefficient? 0. Actually, there is no x4 term. For that reason, we can put 0. For row 2, for the second constraint, what is the coefficient for x1? 1. For x2, 1. For x3, 0, because there is no term at all. For x4, it is equal to 1. It is 1. So right hand side is 300, 200. So this is how we have to fill the cells in the table. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
Prepare this table. Is it clear?
Yes.
Let us understand the terms. Basis means, in the basis we have the basic variables whose values will be non-negative. That means they have positive value. What is the value of x3? 300. What is the value of x4? 200. Okay. So automatically the variables which are not present here will become non-basic variables. So x1 and x2 are non-basic variables. Their values are 0 automatically. So when we write this table, actually x1 is solution is like this. x1 is equal to 0, x2 is equal to 0 automatically because they are not present in the basis. x3 is equal to 300, x4 is equal to 200, and z value is equal to 0. Now, can we say that this is the optimal solution? We can't say that this is the optimal solution. Why? So we have to think like this. If right now x1 is equal to 0, if you increase the x1 value, can you improve the z value? So x1 has the coefficient of 2 in the objective function. So if we increase the value of x1, automatically z value will improve. So we have to check the non-basic variable whose coefficient is maximum negative value. Now in this case, x1 has got maximum negative value, that is -2. It means that If x1 enters the basis, the z value can improve. So what mechanically we can do like this, we will select out of x1 and x2 and we will decide the variable with most negative value as the entering variable into the basis. Okay, so x1 enters, the x1 is called as entering variable because if enters basis, the z value can improve. So if x1 enters the basis, which variable should leave out of the basis? Is it x3 or x4? So we have to follow a procedure. After deciding x1, we have to shade it like this is called as pivotal column. So after deciding the pivotal column, we have to do like this. So we have identified the elements in the pivotal column, then we have to take the ratios of row 1 and row 2 like this. So 300 divided by 3 it is equal to 100. 200 divided by 1 is equal to 200. So which has got the least one? X3 has got the least value, and we say that x3 will leave and x1 will enter, right? So in the next table, x1 will replace x3. So after replacing, these will be like as they are. In place of x3, x1 will be there, and we have to fill the remaining cells in the table. So it is done like this. We have to adopt Gauss-Jordan transformations to find out the elements in the table. Okay, so we'll come to that Gauss-Jordan transformation later. So what right now you can understand is this one. So this is the first table. From the first table, we got the second table. In the second table, you see x3 is replaced by x1, right? And the elements are filled by using the Gauss-Jordan transformation. Now, you assume that you got the second table, iteration 2 table. Now, in this table, we have to again consider whether the coefficients are all positive. So here you see x2 has got coefficient with negative value. So from this we say that x2 will enter the basis. If x2 is going to enter the basis, what should leave out of the basis? So as usual we have to take the pivotal column like this. We have to identify the elements like this. We have to take the ratios like this. So here this is 100 divided by 1 by 3, 300. This is 100 divided by 2 by 3, 1 by 150. So least out of 300 and 150, 150 is the least, and we say that x2 will enter the basis and x4 will leave. So in the next table, in place of x4, x2 will be present, and we can find out the remaining figures in the cells using Gauss-Jordan transformations. So if you do Gauss-Jordan transformations, you will find that x1 is equal to 50, x2 is equal to 150, and z is equal to 250, and we can say that the optimal solution is obtained because there are no variables here with negative coefficient. What you have to understand is this one. For maximization problem, if all the coefficients have do not have a negative coefficient, then the optimality is reached. So you can see there are no negative coefficients here. So we say that the optimality is reached. But here these two have got negative coefficients. So we decided first this to enter the basis. But in the second table, this has got negative coefficient. So we decided that x2 should enter the basis. Okay. So what you have to understand is that in three tables we are able to get the solution. So right now from this table we have to read the solution as x1 is equal to 50, x2 is equal to 250, z is equal to 250, and what is x3? Can anybody tell? Raghava. X3 is equal to 0, x4 is equal to 0, also 0, because if variables are under basis, they got non-negative values. So x1 is equal to 50, x3 is equal to 50, automatically, because x3 are not present here, x4 are not present here, they are 0. Okay. So finally solution is x1 is equal to 50, x2 is equal to 150, x3 is equal to 0, x4 is equal to 0, and z is equal to 150. Okay. So this is the simplex procedure. Now the procedure to obtain the next table from the previous table is given here, right? So this process is called as Gauss-Jordan transformation, right? So you can see this is iteration table 1. It is also called as initial basic feasible solution table or table 1. From this table is obtained. For that we have to follow a certain procedure, and that is also explained here, right? So I advise you to spend 2-3 minutes time to understand this procedure. So files are also with you, am I right? Do you have the file with you, or are you able to see only on the screen? Praveen,
On that day you sent no sir. It will be there in the group, sir.
haven't you downloaded?
Yes, sir. We downloaded, sir.
So you can open that file, or you can see the elements in the pivotal row by dividing every element by pivotal element. We can divide everything by 3. So this will become 1 by 3, 1 by 3, 0, 100. Is it right?
Yes, sir.
So
We have to divide pivotal row column, sir. Row 1, row 1.
yeah.
Okay, sir.
సార్ అంటే సెపరేట్ గా ఆ రోని మళ్ళీ ఆ
కాదు
టేబుల్
కాదు.
మళ్ళీ వేయాలా?
ఈ టేబుల్ ని మళ్ళా తయారు చేయాలి.
ఓకే సార్.
ఈ ఈ ఈ ఎలిమెంట్స్ ఈజీగా వచ్చేస్తాయి, ఎందుకంటే సింప్లీ డివైడ్ ఎవ్రీథింగ్ బై 3 బికాస్ పివటల్ దిస్ ఈస్ పివటల్ కాలమ్, దిస్ ఈస్ పివటల్ రో, దిస్ 3 ఈస్ పివటల్ ఎలిమెంట్. Okay, so
Okay, sir.
New pivotal row will become 3 by 3, 1, 1 by 3, 1 by 3, 1 by 3. So next we have to find out these elements, Z elements. So for Z elements, we have to write old one is, what are the elements? -2, -1, 0, 0, 0. Am I right? Forget about ratio. New pivotal row means 1, 1 by 3, 1 by 3, 0. So pivotal column element is -2 into new pivotal row. So -2 into 1, -2, -2 into so pivotal column element is -2. New pivotal element 1 by 3. 1 by 3 into -2, -2 by 3. 1 by 3 into -2 by -2, -2 by 3. Next 0 into -2, 0. 100 into -2, -200. So transformed row will be 1 minus 3. This is this minus this one. -2, -2. Minus of minus will become plus, it will become 0. So minus.
Pivotal column element into new pivot row means it's a Z row, sir.
I mean, we have transformed this row. It is called as new pivotal row. Then we have to transform Z row. After Z, we have to transform new row 2. This one. How many rows should we transform? Tell me. We have to transform 3. Z row, row 1, row 2. Row 1 is easy to transform because every element should be divided by 3. We got it. So we have to find out new Z row using this procedure, new row 2 using this procedure. Is it understood?
Yes, sir.
You have to apply proper logic. Vishwanath, are you able to understand? Venkatesh? Venkatesh?
Yes, sir, I understand.
Is it clear? I mean, you should be getting doubts.
Yes, sir, clear.
Clear?
Yes, sir, clear.
And new row 2, how came, sir?
New
pivot row.
Sir, excuse me, sir.
Venkatesh, you can explain to Shivaji. I will be following.
Yes, sir.
Venkatesh, tell to others. Shivaji, ask your doubt.
Row 1, 2, 3 ఉంది కదా సార్, ఫోర్త్ వన్ న్యూ జెడ్ రోలో
1, 2, 3. Okay. 1 minus 3 అది.
Venkatesh, answer.
Okay.
Transform row 1 minus 3. From 1 is -2, minus -2, minus plus -2 plus 2, 0. The transform row 1 minus 3.
Okay.
Same remaining also -1 minus of -2 by 3. అలాగే 0 minus of -2 by 3 plus 2 by 3. 0 minus 0, 0. అలాగే 0 minus of -200 plus 200.
ఓకే
ఓకేనా.
ఈ న్యూ రో 2లో సెకండ్ రో ఎలాగొచ్చింది?
ఏది న్యూ పివట్ రో?
న్యూ రో 2.
న్యూ రో 2. ఓకే, న్యూ రో 2 1 చెప్పారు. 2 అనేది మళ్ళీ అంటే ఫస్ట్ ఈ బేసిస్లో 1 రో మాత్రమే కన్సిడర్ చేసుకొని చేసాం ఈ ఫామ్ ఇదంతా క్యాలిక్యులేషన్. దీనివల్ల మనకి న్యూ పివట్ రో ఫామ్ అయింది, అలాగే జెడ్ రో కూడా ఫామ్ అయింది. సెకండ్ టేబుల్ ఇది, అది థర్డ్ టేబుల్ వచ్చేటప్పటికి అది న్యూ రో 2.
Venkatesh, you answered. Let the question be specific. Who is asking question?
విశ్వనాథ్ సార్.
Vishwanath, what is the doubt? You ask him clearly.
న్యూ రో 2 టేబుల్ చేయండి సార్.
New row 2 ఎలా వచ్చిందంటావా?
అందులో సెకండ్ రో ఎలా వచ్చింది?
అదే న్యూ
న్యూ
పివటల్
పివట్ రో చెప్పలే.
పైన రాసాం కదా, 1/3 1/3 0. అదే రిపీట్ అయ్యాం చేసాం అంటే క్యాల్కులేషన్స్ ప్రాపర్ గా చేయడానికి అది మళ్ళీ చూపించాం.
అంటే మనం ఏదైతే ఫస్ట్ పైవట్ తీసుకున్నాం దాన్ని బేస్ చేసుకునే చేస్తాం కదా సార్?
అంతే అంతే.
ఓకే సార్.
ఓకే సార్.
విశ్వనాథ్ అర్థమైందా?
ఓకే సార్, చూస్తాను సార్ మరి.
ఓకే ఓకే. Tanuja, are you able to follow?
Yes, sir.
Next, Harika. That is iteration 3. So, have you understood how we got the third table from second table?
Yes,
Somebody.
sir.
So, this will become 3/2 and this will become 150. 100 will be 100 divided by 2/3 means 150. Okay. Vishwanath, spend some time how to.
Okay.
If you all of you spend 2 minutes time.
అది రో 2 లోంచి న్యూ పివట్ రో తీసేస్తే వచ్చింది సార్ మనకు ఆన్సర్.
కన్విన్స్ Tanuja.
అంటే అక్కడ సార్ ఏం మెన్షన్ చేశారు? పీరియడ్ కాలం ఎలిమెంట్ ఇంటూ న్యూ పీరియడ్ రో మెన్షన్ చేశారు కదా.
పీరియడ్ కాలం ఎలిమెంట్ ఇంటూ న్యూ పివట్ రో.
లాస్ట్ ఎలా వచ్చింది?
ఒకసారి అలానే పైవట్ కాలం ఎలిమెంట్ ఇంటూ న్యూ పివట్ రో చేస్తే ఫస్ట్ 3 వచ్చినాయా?
అలానే వచ్చినాయి.
-1/3 into -1/2. ఇక్కడ -1/3 into 3/2 వస్తే -1/2 వచ్చింది. తనుజ అర్థమైందా? ఇప్పుడు హ్యావ్ గాట్ ద ప్రతి దానికి కూడా -1/3 అనేది కామన్, ఇంటూ ఇక్కడ 0 ఇంటూ 1 ఇంటూ -1/2 ఇంటూ 3/2 ఇంటూ 150. అది అర్థం.
అంటే సార్ జెడ్ రో కాబట్టి -1/3 చేసాం సార్. అదే రో 1/3 చేస్తాం సార్.
రో బైకి 1/3 చేస్తాం.
ఓకే, రో 2 కి 2/3.
అంటే ఆటోమేటిక్ గా ప్రతి ఒక్కటి అది న్యూ పివట్ రో అయిపోయింది. అంటే అది ఇంటర్జెక్షన్, ఐ మీన్ దాన్ని ఏమంటారు, పివటల్ ఎలిమెంట్ కాబట్టి. అంటే ఇట్ ఈస్ ద junction point between the row and the column.
Okay, sir.
Ala.
Understood.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So, have all the students understood how the transformation